Hey, welcome to This is Gravel. We have made it to episode 100 here in the studio. On this episode, we talk Gravel family, and we talk what does This is Gravel mean to you. Stay tuned. Hey, and welcome to episode 100 of This is Gravel here from Emporia, Kansas. I'm currently in the studio. Still no Bobby and Neil studio, but have no fear. Here they are. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Doing really good, Matt.
So it's been a while since we've all been on a show together. Apparently, we filmed a show, went to a bike race. Shortly after, there was a pandemic that hit, social distancing. So we've been apart for a while. What have you guys been up to? You first, Bobby.
Me first?
You first.
Life's been a blur. So I moved into full-time teaching mode with my girls. I still ride quite a bit, but I get a lot of the time that I ride is in the afternoon on the bike indoors. It's just like going to the gym. The last couple of weeks, though, I have gotten to get outside, and I've put about 200 miles on the bike outside in the last 2 weeks. Maybe more like 300, actually. I've had some good couple of weeks the last couple of weeks. But life's been a blur.
Yeah, absolutely. I think life's been a blur for all of us. Good to hear you're still getting out on the bike, though. We all kind of actually crossed paths on a random gravel road hill this last week and saw each other for the first time in person in who knows how long, and that was still at a distance from each other. So
it was so funny. I was coming in from 70, and you guys were going out for 70-ish or whatever, and we just happened to be on the same road. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I wish it was 70. I've fallen off a little bit. Neil, what about you?
Oh, well, I like Bobby. Started becoming a little bit of an at-home teacher with the kids, helping out a little bit. And, man, my whole life has moved, it seems like, to this virtual online stuff. Everything with the church is moving this direction. And so it's been pretty wild to get used to it. I have been getting out on my bike a lot. It has been, I would say, my therapy during this time. I am not a sit-at-home person. Pretty much every day I'm in the office for a little bit in the morning, and then I am out around town visiting folks, dropping in home, see how folks from church are doing, visiting with friends, dropping in the coffee shop, bike shop, a lot of other places around town, and not having that social interaction has just wore me out. So instead of being able to visit with friends, I've taken it out on the bike, and I've put more miles on my bike through this time of the year than I've ever put before. I've just been hitting the gravel pretty much for 100, 150 more miles basically each week, and just getting out and rolling.
Yeah, you went out and got a century on Monday, didn't you?
Yeah, I was bored. I needed something to do that day. I had a lot of things pent up inside that need to let go. Just so everyone knows, too, by the way, I took it safe. I didn't go and stop in any convenience stores and interact with folks. I had a place planned ahead of time that's secluded and away from everybody that I was able to get a refuel at, which I think is pretty at least important at this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, got a century last Monday, and that was a blast. It was good.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a lot of fun still getting out on the bike. I mean, I think we all know that we all ride for different reasons, but we found out just maybe how much we ride for our mental health and some sanity there through all of this. Bobby, you've been doing some Zwift stuff still, right? Have you seen Zwift at all or the virtual stuff change since this? I know you did a race maybe virtually?
Yeah. So the reason, yes, yeah, I have been doing some Zwift. I'll tell you what, though, I've been doing more non-Zwift online stuff. I started running with a program called Be Cool because it allows me to upload GPX data from real rides. And so lately, I've been doing some Dirty Kansas routes. I've been doing I did the rock cobbler again. And it's just as hard inside as it was outside. And did it right. So yeah, you brought up one thing. I did do a race. I did the Red River Riot, which is a spinistry event down in Texas. I got started an hour late in the event, so I was way behind the other riders. But I still completed it and finished it, and it was fun. It was unique. It was different. As far as Zwift, real quick on Zwift. Zwift has gotten a lot more serious. Ted King recently talked with one of the top pro Zwift racers about virtual racing. And I will be very blunt and very honest. I cannot get into virtual racing. I can't. It's not for me. I've tried to watch it a few times. It's just nothing I enjoy. I enjoy doing a hard workout and getting off the bike. But yeah, there are a lot more people hopping on Zwift, and there's a lot of pros hopping on Zwift right now.
Yeah, I think to me a lot of that comes back people getting on Zwift just because they live in places unlike us. I mean, we are very, very lucky to live in a smaller community, I think, right now, that we can ride, any of us less than 2 miles from where Neil and I live in town, and Bobby, you're like 500 feet off gravel. So, to go out and be on our own and ride in a safe manner. You talked about the Be Cool stuff. Does that give you like video of the route, or is it just simulating like the toughness of it, kind of a timeline?
Two different ways. Well, there's actually three different ways that it could happen. The two ways are built into the system, and those are you upload your GPX coordinates, and if it is, say, something around here where there's natural roads out there, then it's going to load generic pavement route to it, a generic pavement video to your route. But you still have the up and the downs and the turns, but it's more of a pavement video that you see. Now, if it's something like the rock cobbler, which takes you off the road and you're doing crissing and crossing and up and down and stuff, it gives you a 2D map rather than the video, because there's just no way that it can run that kind of video. But the 2D map was actually pretty fun, because since I have ridden the route in person, I remembered, oh man, there's a hill coming in here. I hated this hill when I was down there. Sure enough, there's the 19% grade that came up. You're like, ah! And there's no way to walk your bike up a hill when your bike's on the trainer.
You can't do that virtually.
You stand up and you grunt a whole lot, and it's kind of funny. And yeah, so it was different. But there's a lot of different platforms out there now. There's one called Jouvy, Jouvy, which a lot of people are getting behind. Some of the pros are hopping on that too. It's just it's something different to do. For me, I want to say, before I get a lot of hate for riding indoors when the gravel is right outside my door, with the schooling, my daughters need me to be available for more of an IT tech in the room in the morning until noon, and then I do the teaching from noon until 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So it's just hard to get in the rides even though I'm home. So.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I work with the school district and do PR and marketing stuff for them. So, we hear a lot of this from the families and whatnot. But the three of us have been trying to have coffee once a week virtually. We all sit down at a given time on a Zoom meeting and have a cup of coffee and talk about it. And it was fun, though, watching everybody at home. You've got the kids there type deal. I think Friday was a science lesson. You were making ice cream.
We made ice cream. We made some homemade ice cream that was her afternoon lesson that one of her teachers gave her. So yeah, we made some afternoon ice cream. So, and I've gotten to see my man Lane. I've got to see him quite a bit hiding in the background over there at Neil's house. So it's been fun. Yeah, Zoom is a word that my wife and I joke we couldn't do this right now without something like Zoom, so we can contact our friends and family and everything. However, when this is over, I never want to hear the Z word again.
That's fair.
Like being in person, so.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. It's a savior right now. I'm really glad we already had the studio halfway set up to be able to do remote calls, and I think that's one of the principles that we've always said when we started Gravel Guru. We'll tie this into the 100th episode. We set up a studio in a matter that we could go out and do these type of video calls, whether it's someone on the East Coast, West Coast, down in Texas, up in Minnesota. We can make calls happen like this to interview people. I don't think when I wired it, bought the software, the computer for it, we ever anticipated that I'd be talking to Bobby, who's actually, I think, like 6 doors up the block from here.
Like across the street from you right now.
Yeah. Neil's another mile away, that all of us that are in town would be sitting at home doing it. But I'm glad we're able to get a show out. And it's our 100th episode. So I think one thing that we need to talk about is kind of the dynamic between the three of us, and including Leland. The first 2 seasons before Neil was on the show, we had Leland Danes. Then he stepped off to take care of some business stuff and really just open up the show here. Say what?
He had a baby at that time too.
Yes, he did. That was the big thing right there. If you haven't seen, check out Gravel City has a video of the two of them riding a bike together. He's got this cool seat thing. I don't know if either of you guys know what they're called, but it mounts right up behind the handlebar so they can co-ride together. And he was telling me about that the other day. And it's very cool to see them out there together. So, we've all kind of moved on. We've all grown up together. I've grown up with the show here on Gravel Guru. But I don't think one thing we've talked about is we all three actually know each other from stuff that didn't really start with bikes for the most part. At least how I've met both of you. So, Bobby, do you remember the first time or how we got to know each other?
You were probably a freshman or sophomore in high school. And you were coming to the Optimist Club meetings. Would that be about right?
That was
the Flint Hills Optimist Club meetings.
That was my biggest guess. Was Dad was a Optimist member, and I came, when we didn't have school on school days type deal.
Yeah, you were the AV kid from high school that your dad would bring to meetings when you weren't in class.
Yeah, absolutely. I was the AV geek. Did a lot of the same type of stuff in high school as I do now. So that's how and I remember when you owned the computer store downtown. Ties back to being an AV geek. It really does. So
it does, really.
Yeah. And Neil, we met. The minister of gravel is not just about preaching to gravel, isn't that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. No, the first time we met was actually about 8 years ago right now, because we've been in Emporia for just over 8 years, and met you and your family and a whole bunch of other people at church. And I remember back early on, and you may or may not remember this, but I remember very early on when we had moved here, and I'm just trying to get situated in this new job, this new church, this new community in the middle of Kansas where I've never been before. And you asked me way back then about helping out with football games, I believe for the high school, and doing play-by-play for those, because you knew that I'd had some past experience doing play-by-play for basketball games. And at that point, I was like, dude, I want nothing to do with anything like that anymore. I might not have been quite as harsh at that point, being new to the area, but it was tough adjusting. But I was like, okay, well, he has an interest in this kind of stuff. It's cool. And then you asked me to do the show, and I'll be honest, I thought I was coming in to do like one episode of the show.
That's what we told Bobby and Leland too. Hey, I have this idea for one video.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that I'd be sitting here. I mean, between the first season where we did 40 episodes that I was on, it was the third season of the show, and then we did 20 last year, and I think this is our 5th or 6th this year. I didn't think 65 episodes later I'd still be sitting here. I figured by then you would have kicked me out and got real talent in.
You see who you're working with, though. You are real talent. So, anyways, I just think it's interesting, so many people outside that watch the show, I think that maybe we just coexist through bikes, and it's very much not. We're all three very involved in our local community here in town. I absolutely met Neil through church. He actually married Madeline, my wife, and I. So lots of connections through there, and Bobby through all sorts of committees, the Optimist Club, bikes, computer store. Yeah, we all run kind of in the same social circle when social circles were a thing. So
now I will say, Neil and I did come together through cycling.
Okay.
I think some group rides, and then I started working at the bike shop. So he would come into the bike shop for questions and help and that kind of stuff, and that's how we grew to know each other, and then through this show. So.
Yeah, I'd say, I first at least remember Bobby way back on Thursday night rides, back when, if the group as a whole averaged 12 miles an hour, we were excited. That's when still half of our group was on mountain bikes or on bikes that maybe shouldn't be going on gravel roads. And I was like, man, that guy's really awesome. And then I found his blog and I found his Facebook page. I'm like, this guy's the coolest. And then I actually got to know Bobby. And I was like, he is the best cyclist in the world. And that's why my son thinks that about you as well. But I've definitely got to know you better through doing the show. And also at the time you were at the bike shop, I mean, we'd come in and, I mean, like you say, you knew I'd be there at least a couple times a week, it seemed like at times. I just loved dropping in before we weren't allowed to go places.
Yeah, absolutely tying the bikes back into it all. I guess the bigger question is Bobby, since you were on episode 1, do you remember episode 1, first off? Anything about it?
Yeah, because it was in my shop and it was about 40 degrees outside and the shop's not heated. And none of us knew what we were doing, and I was too embarrassed to tell friends why they were being invited out to the shop to talk about the show, so they didn't know what they were doing, and we all just showed up freezing in my shop and talked about riding bikes, and that was the first episode.
Yeah.
It would be fun to do something like that again in a warm area. Now, was it 5 years later? So,
yeah, the first episode was published on March 10th of 2016. So yeah, it was just a group. It was a group of us. I'm looking at it on my computer screen right here. The episode was Where the Pavement Ends, episode 1. Now we put This Is Gravel episode 1. I don't think we ever knew if there would be an episode 2. But we had goals, I guess. But I'm looking back. You have that bike shop kind of set up in the corner there. It's Lynn Bluebaugh, Tim and Christy Moan, you, Leland and Christina, Jim, Rick, and Joe and Gretchen Russell sat down to talk about riding bikes and why we ride gravel. Absolutely love all of our friends. I don't highly advise to go back and watch that episode.
I'll tell you what.
We set the bar about here. So
there's one other thing I remember about that episode. That's the last time I've ever gotten in trouble with my wife, because we finished that and it was so cold in the shop, I kept drinking to stay warm. And after the shop, people were going to go downtown to the pub to have a beer. And I went inside and said, hey, I'm going to run off with the guys. And she said, you can't walk. You're not driving anywhere. And so we had that discussion, and that was the last time. So it was a cold night. Absolutely. I remember that first night.
Yeah. So what do you remember us coming to you with the idea to do the show? Do you remember anything about that, how it was pitched?
Yeah. I mean, basically, we knew what we had here in Emporia, and by what I mean by that is Gravel Family. And Gravel Family to me is a community of people, like-minded, that when you get on outside in the country, they appreciate what you have and what you see. They're willing to stop and help a fellow rider, and they want to spread that love for the outdoors through riding a bicycle with other people. And the premise for that show and this show at the root is spreading that to new riders, whether they be any skill level, to just bring them into the fold, bring them into the family and spread that however we can, whether it's talking about our own rides, talking about your rides, talking about maintaining a bike, talking about how to ride the bike. It's just a way to bring people together.
Yeah. How about you, Neil? What was your initial reaction? And you have a different perspective because the show had been out for 30-some episodes before we brought you on. What was your reaction to coming on? And I guess, why did you say yes?
I said yes because I thought it was for one episode at first. Full honesty, but my initial reaction was, why me? And I mean that sincerely, because I don't see myself as, one, knowledgeable, and two, really that good of a cyclist. Now, I know I've completed races and big races that maybe some people only dream about, but again, at that point I was looking and I didn't know Bobby as well as I do now. And I was like, man, Bobby's up here, and we know Leland, his association with Dirty Kansas, and he's had some good race experience. And here's Neil, the guy that, man, hopefully he can maybe finish before midnight if he's lucky at Dirty Kansas 200, or maybe finish in, 9 or 10 hours at a race. And so I felt kind of way on the outside, unworthy, to be honest. And so I was quite shocked when I found out that it wasn't just for one episode, but it was like, hey, you're going to be doing this from here on out. I didn't realize I was signing a 40-episode commitment either that first season. I need to talk to my manager about that one. But I've loved being a part of it just simply because it has connected me so much. And I realized that even though I don't feel like maybe I have the knowledge or the skill that is up here of some other people, I realized that not everybody that watches our show is looking for everything always way up here. There's some folks a lot of folks, in fact, I find out are really tuning in because they are getting on a bike and getting in gravel for the first time. And it's encouraging to them to see any of us get out and do some miles and talk about those miles, or get out and do a race. And it shows them that they have the abilities too, especially when we talk about our stories, and I mean, I know Bobby's talked in the past about some of his stories and where he's progressed over time, and myself. And I mean, we just got Matt out for his first race outside the state of Kansas here recently. And we share those stories with folks. And it's amazing how often I hear about how inspiring these things are to people. And so at first I was very intimidated by it. Now I find it to be a pretty big blessing.
Yeah, I'd say, one, you undersell yourself a lot. You know way more than you give yourself credit for. And two, you talk a little bit about our audience, demographic maybe is the word for it, but I think when we started the show, the mindset was, we'd be appealing to all these pros and bridging these gaps type deal. But I think we've really found ourselves with the everyday gravel riders. I mean, to me, Bobby talked about it with Gravel Family. I mean, it's home. This core audience we have with it. For me, I guess, one, not when I became a part of the show, but when the show started, was along the lines of, I've always been involved in broadcasting. As Bobby mentioned, I've been an AV geek since freshman year of high school, and knowing when that was, that's right when kind of the internet and internet video came around mainstream and really became popular. So there were some audio podcasts out there involving cycling and stuff out there. There were not really a ton of videos for gravel cycling at all. I think for me, though, Gravel Guru goes back a lot longer than before 2016 when we actually launched the show. We started out back when I worked for the newspaper, probably, I remember going out the summer of 2011, Dirty Kansas, and being a still photographer for the newspaper. I started doing video for them as a part-time job in high school. But being out there, and DK might have had 300 to 600 people that year in 2011, I'd guess, number-wise. I should have looked this up. But just standing out there, and it was back behind D Hill when it went south, and I think it was a muddy year too. But going, oh my gosh, seeing these athletes come over the hill there. Maybe it wasn't muddy. I don't know. There were some muddy years back then.
It became muddy in the halfway point.
Okay. Yes, that's the year the rain came in before Council Grove. So, just seeing these athletes out there, and it just blew my mind. And I remember sending Christy Moan an email there shortly after with one of my partners in crime back in the day, good friend from high school, Dan Ray. His dad's the radio sports director here on the local radio station in town, and go, we want to live stream this. How can we live stream this? And so it's funny looking back what we were trying to do in 2011 before Gravel Guru name even came up. Gravel Guru is a name I came up with on a ride actually down in South Lyon County on the roads with Ben Wells when he lived here in town going to college. It was just one of those things, you're spitballing names. I came off a broadcast contract doing some disc golf before that, and now's the time when I want to start a video show about gravel bikes. not necessarily just audio, but I wanted it to be video. I wanted people to see us talking because I wanted to do some how-tos like we did there in the beginning seasons, and set up a good studio where we're proud of the work we produced. So I guess that's for me how we got started. Did I miss anything there?
No, I think you did wonderful.
So, anyways,
I wish we had live video of what it was like in 2011 at that DK.
Yeah,
because it was it's so different than it is now. I was at that first checkpoint. It was so chill. So
just a completely different ball game, different time, and it's back to what I said about there weren't a lot of us doing video. You go back to some of those early highlights in the early film we had. We did another Finish Line live stream in 2014, and this was all standard definition, trying to get signals out of downtown Cottonwood Falls. And I can't even remember where the other checkpoint was that year in 2014. But we just had this stuff set up. Somehow it worked. We had a studio set up upstairs in the green room of the Granada Theater right over the finish line, a camera up on the mezzanine, and Zach Hacker hosted rider interviews. We had Don Weist on the show. Just some of us that really didn't know much about Cyclist, but they knew how to ask questions after an event. So we've really grown from there, and so now you see when we do some live things out at races, kind of where that mindset came from. That's kind of tied into Gravel Guru. One thing you both mentioned was the Gravel family vibe. For me, that's absolutely been my favorite part. I did not understand when we filmed episode 1. We jumped in a car the next weekend and went down to Land Run at the time. Land Run was the name of it, now Mid-South. And that was my first going out of town gravel experience. What has that been like for you guys now that you've been on the show, and not giving the show all the credit, but people go, it blew my mind down at the Gravel Growler when people are going, hey, it's Gravel Guru. We see you guys on video all the time. What has that mindset been like?
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Neil.
Matt. I mean, for me, it was completely shocking back in, I mean, what would that have been? 2018 would have been the first year, I guess, that I was on the show. And we went down to Land Run, and I'd had one individual, a buddy, good friend actually now, Anthony, who had contacted me and talked to me about, some of the things on the show. And he was going to be doing his first Land Run that year. And so he had some questions. And so I met him down there, and he was just stoked to get to meet me. And then it was unreal because as I rode the day of the race and after the race was over, 2018 was a nice year, so we hung out downtown for a long time after that race. How many people were like, hey, you're Neil, or hey, you're the Minister of Gravel, or you're Gravel Guru. And I was like, I was not ready for that at all. I'm just Neil. And so it really caught me off guard, and the amount of people that wanted to take pictures or just sit and talk or whatever it was, it kind of just blew me away. But I've come to embrace it because so many of these people, I mentioned Anthony, but I mean, so many of these people have become, I would say, like family. I mean, not just like, gravel family, but family, people that I could reach out to at any moment if I'm hurting or if I have a difficulty and say, hey, I need help. And they've done the same thing also with me. I've had some of those people reach out to me when they're going through difficult times and say, hey, can you just help me out with this in some sort of way? And so, again, that's the part of where this show has been a blessing. I didn't expect to start talking to people all over, not just the country, but all over the globe because of sitting in a studio in Emporia, Kansas with you talking about bikes.
Yeah, sitting in this small room and just seeing where everything goes. Bobby, I made a classic producer mistake right there. Do you know what that was?
No.
We let the minister answer first about family. Bobby, how about you? What's it been like getting to know some of these followers we have?
Oh, I don't have followers, Matt. We got a lot of friends. I've truly enjoyed. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy hearing new stories. And so what's changed for me is now, instead of going to the out-of-town events, getting the bike out quietly, I'm kind of shy. So quietly walking up to the starting line and start pedaling and maybe talk to somebody. People are more apt to break the ice with me and come up and start talking with me. And I love meeting people, so that's great. It takes that away from me, and it allows me to get out there more. And when I talk to people, I share the gravel stories with them and the love of gravel with them, and that is what has helped me. It's definitely given me more confidence. I don't hide from, I don't run in, register, and run back to the hotel. I feel very comfortable and very open about showing up and just hanging out for a while and seeing who comes up and talk and can I find this so-and-so that friended me a couple weeks ago, blah, blah, blah. I'm old enough. You guys are young kids, but I'm old enough that I grew up with the TV series Cheers. And for me, the best part about that series and the best part of how I feel now when I go to gravel events, and this isn't just us. This is because the gravel family have gotten to know each other so well, right? We can all show up to these gravel events now, and I love just thinking of the guy of Norm walking in Cheers, and everyone's screaming Norm, and he goes and sits down. They all just start chatting. And to me, in the past 5 years, that's what's changed the most. And it's not just us doing this show; it's us connecting everybody, helping to connect everybody, so that we can all experience this. And to me, that's what's changed about gravel.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up Cheers because literally Madeline and I just are finishing this 11th season of it on Netflix right now. We started at the beginning, so absolutely love it. And yeah, everybody walking in and yelling Norm pretty much summarizes what's so great about it. And then also knowing I'm guilty of this. I'm very guilty of this. I might not know Bobby Thompson. I might know, hey, casual cyclist. Hey, Minister of Gravel. And I don't know the social acceptance of when you're walking through an event going, I don't know your first name, but I do know your Instagram handle.
It's acceptable. It's basically our second name, Matt. I mean,
yeah, fair enough. You know, the family mindset's what keeps us going to all the events, seeing everybody. I've had a little bit different probably experience with it. I've gotten to know a lot of the race directors very well, a lot of the SAG supports, family members of racers, just because as we've been out covering and running around, you know, we find ourselves standing around waiting at times with a lot of family members talking to the timing crews. So it's really just kind of this inner spider web of how we've gotten to know everybody. So getting to know everybody, Gravel family, a couple weeks ago we asked our followers through social media to send in a video clip about what the title of the show, This is Gravel, means to them. Not what the show means to them. We don't want to know what the show means. But what does the phrase, This is Gravel, mean to them? Let's take a look.
This is gravel.
Hello guys, this is Adil from Brazil. To me, this is gravel means riding my bike once a year in Emporia, Kansas, my favorite place in the world. Love you guys.
Hey guys, Ty Bragg from Smithville, Missouri. What does This is Gravel mean to me? It means that I've learned about gravel and bikes and community. I have a new passion, new adventures, new friends that I would have never had. Thanks for the 99 shows. Good luck on the 100th. We appreciate what you guys do. Thank you to Bobby, Neil, and producer Matt for all that you do. You've poured your soul into this and you've changed ours. Well done, guys. See you at the next event.
Gravel. Loose, rounded fragments of rock. This is gravel.
What does This is Gravel mean to you?
Gravel is about a community of friends for us that enjoy riding together no matter the pace, fast or slow, and enjoying the ride.
It's all about fun. It's about riding like when you were a kid, gravel roads, having fun. It's mostly about the fun.
What does gravel mean to me? It means a passion reborn. My childhood is renewed. Unlimited adventures. The only limitation is your imagination. The beauty camaraderie with the community of gravel people, which I have never, ever experienced before. The love is just overwhelming. This is gravel, guys.
Hey, what's up, Gravel Guru? This is Chris coming at you from Oregon, up high here in the Cascades today. Anyway, this is gravel. This is about exploration and discovery and connections to yourself and others and the beauty of the landscape. Cheers on 100 episodes. Keep inspiring and informing. Peace and love.
Hey guys, congratulations on episode 100. This is gravel means a lot to a lot of different people, and I think that's what's amazing about it. It's family. It's your tribe. It's the people that you spend time with, that you suffer with, and that you enjoy the beauty of a gravel ride with. So congratulations and keep grinding.
Hi, this is Charlie Lingerfelt from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I love riding gravel. This is gravel.
Hello, Gravel Guru. This is Eric Wilson from Kansas City, Missouri, and I wanted to let you know that this is gravel to me means community. Over the years, these gravel events that I go to have become like big family reunions. So in my mind, there's no better way to escape reality than joining with hundreds, if not thousands, of other like-minded people who want to go out and have a good time riding a bike. There's just nothing better than that.
Gravel, it's about the adventure. It's about the challenge. Those dark places you go to during the day, fighting through till the end. And it's about the community, the people, the party, everything there after and before that you come back to. And when they all come together, that's when you have the perfect event. And we're probably all missing that right now and look forward to getting back to that place. So we'll see you soon.
Hey, this is Gravel fans. This is Keith Smith from down in Texas. And what gravel means to me, it means to me that I can spend 14 hours with my daughter at Mid-South. And when we cross the finish line, we all have smiles on our faces. It's a great family to be part of. Kind of miss everybody right now. We usually do our longer training rides and stuff with other people, and we had to go ride 100 miles all by ourselves today. Thank you and have a great day.
Hey, Gravel Guru. Just wanted to congratulate you guys on your 100th episode. And I just wanted to let you know what I love about gravel. There's so much. There's the bikes, there's the adventure, but most of all, there's the community. And our gravel family is second to none. And you guys are a huge part of that. Thanks, Matt, Bobby, and Neil, for everything you do. Have a good one, guys.
Hey everybody, this is Mark Hoffman from Marysville, Kansas, checking in with Gravel Guru. What gravel means to me, this is my driving buddy Mia. We are out checking out some gravel roads southwest of Marysville, Kansas. This is Schroyer Hill, one of the big climbs out of the Big Blue River Valley, southwest of Marysville. We got about an inch of wet slushy snow this morning, so we're out checking out the road so we can see if we can ride tomorrow on Saturday, April 18th, 2020. We've got a loosely organized small group ride planned, so hope you can get out and ride.
Gravel is more than a word that the bike industry decided to latch onto. It is a mixed surface adventure with a mixed group of people sharing one common goal and having a whole plethora of stories to share at the end of it. And that's why I love it so much. It's just one big challenge that we can all come together and do and have a great time doing it.
What does this is gravel mean to me? To me it means this stuff could be chunky, this stuff could be smooth, or this stuff could turn out being some straight up Mid-South peanut butter. One thing is for certain with gravel is most of the time it's gonna be an adventure and you're gonna have one hell of a time riding some big gravel miles.
To me, gravel is all about having a good time, taking adventures, meeting new people, sometimes getting a little goofy and putting donuts on your shoes.
What does gravel mean to me? First you break it down. Gra-vul. Gra reminds me of my grandma. Grandma. Vul, travel. Travel. Put them together, you get traveling to grandma's house. I love traveling to Grandma's house. She has fresh baked cookies. That's why I love gravel. That's what it means to me.
Hannah and Cleo here from Lawrence, Kansas. Here to say that gravel is all the fun of riding a bike, but with a higher probability that something is going to go wrong. It's a great place to learn to challenge yourself and adapt by creating opportunities where you're more likely to be asked to improvise.
This is what gravel means to us. Hanging around with the family, on gravel, off gravel, and sharing great memories. Right, guys? Love it.
I like riding gravel because I get to ride punchy hills like this with my good old friend Greg Vaught, and then I get to hear him whine about his aches and pains.
Oh, my hip. Oh.
You can do it, old buddy. You can do it.
Oh.
Look at that punchy hill.
Hey Gravel family, it's Jason and Wendy here from Mississippi, and we got 2 words for you when it comes to gravel. One is freedom. So to me, freedom of gravel means riding what bike you want, where you want, and with whom you want to ride with.
And the other is community. No matter where you go on a gravel road, if you see somebody else on a bike, they don't care about what you do for a living. They don't care about what you enjoy outside of riding. They just want to know where the best roads are and if they can come with you.
Cool. So thank you guys, and we'll see you on the gravel.
Hey, Gravel Guru fans and Gravel Guru people. Congratulations on the show number 100. I've got to give a shout out to Matt Fowler, Bobby Thompson, Neil Taylor, and go all the way back to Leland Danes for getting this show off the ground. You asked what gravel means to me, and I would tell you that there are 2 words that come to mind for me with what gravel means for me. That would be adventure and community. Those 2 things really sum up gravel. So congratulations on show 100. Keep rolling.
Gravel can be whatever you want it to be. For me, it's mostly about riding long distance rides on mixed surface, rides that I wouldn't do on any other type of bike. I also like going to gravel events to meet new people and make friends. But mostly I like pushing my boundaries, both physically and mentally.
Hey, Gravel Guru. Thanks so much for 100 episodes and for the 5 years of work you guys have done and all the work you've done to help improve the gravel community and keep us informed of what's going on. We've enjoyed all your episodes, and we just want to say thank you from the Gravel World's crew. So what is gravel to me? Gravel is all about going out and having an adventure with my friends. How about you guys?
I'll go next since I'm stacked there on top of everyone. Gravel for me is a couple things. It's freedom, it's adventure, and it's medicine. It's being on my bike and forgetting about things that might not be going well with me right now or in my world right now. So that's what gravel is to me.
I think gravel is about community. I think you get people from all different ages and walks of life and abilities, and everybody comes together, and it's a good way to just get along. Everybody's happy to see each other on the road.
I agree with all of you, and to me, it's my escape. It's my therapy. It's where I've met some great friends. These 3 included, and so I don't know what my life would be without gravel, to be honest. So again, congratulations, Gravel Guru. Thank you for everything that you've done, and congratulations. Here's to 100 more.
Hey, gravel is family and friends. Gravel is getting to ride your bike distances and in places that you never thought you would ever be able to do in your wildest dreams. Gravel is the wide open spaces and the crunch of the gravel under your tires. Gravel, for me at least, is getting to put on an event or help put on an event that brings as much joy, happiness, and sometimes pain as you've experienced on other rides.
To me, this is gravel. And if we put on our spectacles, and this is what gravel is all about. Taking in nature, just ride. Nice.
Hi, I'm Matt Hopkin, and this is what gravel means to me. Gravel allows me to explore my sense of adventure while I get some much needed stress relief. It takes me places that I would have never considered visiting while experiencing local sights and culture. I appreciate the challenges that the routes provide and my sense of accomplishment when I finally finish. I enjoy meeting new people during events and the friendships that I have developed throughout the years. Every small town has some type of Casey's, local grocery store, a bottle shop, or a bar where I'm always made to feel welcomed. But most of all, it is the relaxed, fun people that I meet both on course and in the communities that I enjoy the most.
This is gravel means adventure to me. No matter where you go on gravel, you never know what to expect. I like surprises, and each ride is just that.
And it makes me feel happy and excited.
Oh yeah.
Hey everybody, One Take Blake here. To me, This is Gravel is all about learning, experiencing, and progressing. Gravel's growing more than any other segment in cycling, and it's fun to be a part of. Hope you're continually pushing to learn about your bike and yourself and figure out even more what you can really do. Take it easy.
Thank you to everybody that submitted those to us online. I don't know how to accurately describe what it means when I was getting emails and text message and Facebook messages about what the show means to everybody. There's a lot of times you're sitting, maybe in the studio alone. Maybe you're sitting at home editing the show. You're looking through the hashtag. And it really just kind of, I guess, warms the heart to see what this means to people. It lets us see you guys. Lets us see who is being affected by the show. And we just absolutely love being a part of this big gravel family and this community that's grown together around it. Bobby, Neil, your guys' thoughts?
I'll let the minister speak for me.
Yeah, I said it first. That's right. Go.
I loved seeing all the videos sent in. It definitely was good seeing so many different faces at this time when I really haven't seen a ton of people. So it almost brought a little tear to my eye. And it makes me very hopeful for the fall coming up when we get to hopefully travel to some gravel events.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. When I got to watch those videos, I mean, the emotions definitely were there because there's people that I got to see that I hadn't seen, it felt like, in forever, because these last 6 or 7 weeks since Mid-South have seemed like forever. Folks that I probably would have seen at events since then, and it was cool to get to see them on the video and to share what This is Gravel means to them, and then also through just the many well wishes that came in from so many individuals about what it is that we're sitting here and doing. It meant a lot, and it was really cool. And again, I'm thankful for everybody, even folks that maybe were sitting out there that were thinking about sending a video in, or maybe afraid of getting behind a camera to send out a video. I'm thankful for those folks that sit out there and watch us when we put out these episodes.
Yeah, thank you to everybody that submitted them. I know there's a lot of people that, for whatever reasons, couldn't get around to getting them sent to us that reached out and congratulated us on 100 episodes, too, throughout this. Big thanks, obviously, to Leland and Bobby. I mean, you guys have been on since day one. Neil, thanks for joining us. Season 3, somehow you come on. Apparently, we're finding out tonight you thought you were coming on for one episode. We did 40 that 1 year somehow, and that was basically 40 weeks back to back, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think we almost shot you.
Yeah, it was something. I think we came in on like Thursdays at noon and just kind of had a standing appointment. But somehow we got it knocked out. We all had full-time jobs at that point. We all have full-time jobs now managing all of this. So we got them knocked out. So it's just been quite a ride. In terms of thank yous, I have some big thank yous because this content would not have been possible without my crews. When we go to events, well, I'll just put it this way. I think I've been to 1 or 2 events by myself. And a lot of those were day trips, maybe down to Wichita or up to Macy's. I think the first year I covered it just north of here by myself. I've always got crews with me, whether it's my wife, Madeline, but really the person that's been to so many events with me is David Perch. He's been everywhere. He's been to Gravel Worlds multiple times. He's been to the Land Run Mid-South. Drove down this year, even though now he lives in Kansas City. So I can't do it without my crews. Casey Wilson that does all my drone photography. Dustin Michelson does still photography a lot of times. That was probably the biggest thing that's changed with the show was I didn't expect us to grow in all the facets that we did with still photography from events. I went to that first land run and literally stood there at the start line and went, so what are we doing here? I've covered lots of ball sports, football, basketball for years, but covering cycling was not really one of the things that I had on my, resume at that point. So learning how all of that, and I learned to love being a still photographer before. Putting up those early galleries we put on Facebook is how we learned so many people's names. I'd put up a gallery of 300 photos, and people would start tagging themselves and go, oh, this was them and that, and they're from here and there. So it was just amazing getting to know people through some of those galleries and just see who you saw. And probably as racers, it gave you guys an inside glimpse of you saw people you might not have seen on the bike that day.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I always loved getting to look through photos. I mean, some of the earliest photos actually I have of myself on a bike were from that first land run in, I think it was 2015, 2016 that you all were down there. And it was a little bit muddy that year, and I'm riding through an intersection, and I believe it was you and Madeline over there on the side at that moment taking pictures, and just put a big smile on my face. And then, I went and found the gallery and was searching through to say, okay, where's the picture at? Because I wanted to see it, and ended up seeing all of my friends too throughout the race day. And it was cool. I've always loved digging through the galleries. Now they're huge though, because there's thousands of people at every race.
So, continuing on with some of my thank yous there, this show would absolutely not be possible without all the hosts we've had through it. Whether you're watching like the ones from these last couple seasons with Bobby, Neil, then Leland, we've had some guest hosts throughout the years come on. Going to have some more guest hosts come on later this year, especially doing some of this remote stuff. But a huge thank you goes out to the host for always coming on the show, taking the time off. I can promise you they don't do it for the money. It's not about the money's why they come in here and do the show, because there's really not any money that comes with doing this show. I think it's absolutely for the love of gravel and the love of the gravel family. Continuing on with the thank yous, huge one goes out to my dad, Stan. That's why we have the studio. We're actually set up in the back of his print shop in downtown Emporia here. That's what gives us this look. When I came up with this idea, I was headed to the local lumber yard to buy literally the new shiny metal like you have on a roof for the backdrop. And he goes, no, I know somebody that just tore down a barn. This rusted stuff will look so much cooler in the studio. And we kind of bickered a little bit about, no, I want new, shiny, all of this. And absolutely glad he changed my mind and we went with the old barn metal for it. He helped us get it set up, all of this. He pays the electric bill down here and the internet bill. So that's key for hosting an online show. So
thanks, Stan.
Yeah, that. And then I think we all have to give a big thanks to our spouses. Thank you to Madeline. There's a lot of times on the show, like I said, sitting home at night, editing, coming into the studio, shooting clips, and more importantly, she's learned to absolutely love being a part of the gravel family too. She doesn't ride a bike right now, but she loves going to events, and she's willing to say, we don't need to go here. Let's go to Lincoln, Nebraska and have a good time at Gravel Worlds. Let's go to Stillwater and see friends at Land Run / Mid-South down there, So learning how the family has accepted her and how she's accepted the gravel family. And I think that's what's so important about gravel and what we do is it's a whole family affair. It's nothing to have a whole family on the finish line with cowbells. So those are just some of my thank yous. The most important thank you, I think, guys, goes out to all of our followers and friends that tune in every episode.
100% agree.
Closing thoughts from you guys?
100 more?
That's the same question as when you interview someone after a race. Say like Dirty Cans, and they go, you going to come back next year? Well, if you're still dripping with sweat, I mean, yeah, no, I'm in it for 100 more. We'll see what year that 200th episode comes out on.
I'll be over 50.
Yeah?
If we do another 5 years, I'll be over 50. We'll talk about it.
That's fair. That's fair. That's Masters category.
That's Masters category.
So, again, thank you to everybody that's been a part of it. Now that we've kind of got this episode out of the way, I will say this episode is not necessarily what we intended it to be. We intended to be at a lot of races this spring, as it did most of our followers, most of our friends. This weekend, we should have either been out at Pratt, Kansas at Open Range, or we should have been at the Epic over at Lake of the Ozarks. I mean, just looking at the calendar is just crazy to see where we are. We planned on announcing some fun stuff to do, maybe hosting some more rides this summer with Gravel Guru. We'll see where that leads us with what happens kind of with society and the health problems going on right now. But thank you so much for being a part of it. We're going to start rolling some more online episodes. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow the channel. Make sure you follow the Casual Cyclist, the Minister of Gravel. And we'll see you next episode.
Bye.